You ever feel like you're just spinning your wheels financially, like you're working hard, but you're just not getting ahead? Well, you are definitely not alone. But here's the thought. What if the real reason you're broke has almost nothing to do with your paycheck and everything to do with these hidden patterns you don't even realize are there? All right, let's get into it.
Okay, so I want to start with a really direct question for you. Right now, if your car died tomorrow, or you got a surprise medical bill for, say, $400, could you cover it? I mean, without whipping out a credit card or selling something you own, just think about that for a second.
If your answer was no, or even I'm not sure, you are in very good company. Researchers found that a staggering 1 out of every 3 Americans just can't handle a surprise $400 expense. And here's the kicker. This isn't just a problem for people with low incomes. Nope. This kind of financial fragility, it stretches all the way up the ladder across all sorts of jobs and salaries. And that right there brings us to the main point of this whole thing. See, being broke, it's usually not about the number on your paycheck. I mean, you've got people pulling in 6 figures who are stressed out of their minds about money, while other folks with much more modest incomes are sleeping just fine at night. So what's the difference? It all boils down to your habits. These tiny, everyday decisions that, over time, either build you up or, well, tear you down.
So, that whole $400 emergency test, it's not just some random number. Think of it more like a symptom, you know? It points to a much bigger problem, this deep misunderstanding of how money, and frankly, how life actually works. It's a flashing red light that shows we're just not prepared for the curveballs life is absolutely going to throw at us.
So, where is all the money going? Let's dig into the first big pattern, these invisible spending traps that just quietly suck your bank account dry. And often they're disguised as status or just small, totally harmless purchases.
This one is huge. It's this massive psychological trap so many of us fall into. We spend money we don't have on stuff we don't need to project this image of success. It's this idea that if you look rich, somehow you'll become rich. But the irony is just wild. Because truly wealthy people, they usually do the exact opposite. They get it. They know that every single dollar they spend on some fancy prop is a dollar that isn't out there working for them, growing their wealth.
A perfect example? The new car. The average monthly payment for a new ride is $644. People will absolutely stretch their budgets to the breaking point for that shiny, impressive vehicle. It's a huge part of looking wealthy. But they're sacrificing a massive amount of money for an asset that loses a ton of its value the literal second they drive it off the lot.
And hey, it's not always about the big, flashy purchases, right? A lot of the time, it's the small stuff. These are the spending leaks, the little drips that can sink your whole financial ship. You know, the daily coffee, ordering takeout a couple of times a week, that subscription you totally forgot about, none of them feel like a big deal in the moment. But look at these numbers. They add up fast. Over 10 years, that simple habit of dining out could easily cost you 30 grand. And that's before you even think about what that money could have become if you'd invested it.
Now, those spending traps we just talked about, they're often just a symptom of the next major pattern, which is basically flying completely blind. It's like trying to pilot a ship through a storm with no map, no compass, and no idea where you're even going.
I love this quote because it just perfectly nails how absurd this is. Think about it. If you were about to drive across the country, would you seriously just hop in the car and start driving in a random direction? Of course not. That's crazy. You'd plan your route, you'd know where you're going, and yet, that is exactly how most of us treat our finances, just aimlessly wandering, hoping we end up somewhere good.
And this is what it actually looks like in practice. Vague goals like, I want to save more money, are useless. Without a specific target like, I will pay off my $5,000 credit card in 2 years, every financial choice is just a guess. Most people have no clue what their real monthly numbers are, what's coming in and what's going out. So they're basically living for today and just crossing their fingers that tomorrow will somehow work itself out.
This brings us to a really important point. So many of us think, if I could just get a raise, all my money problems would vanish. But that is almost never true. Let's talk about the income and debt cycle that keeps people stuck no matter how much they make.
And here is the big one. It's a trap we all fall into. You get a raise, right? Or maybe a nice bonus. And what's the immediate thought? I deserve a reward. So you upgrade the car. You move to a nicer apartment. Your entire lifestyle gets an upgrade. And just like that, your expenses have risen to meet your new income. It's called lifestyle inflation, and it's a financial treadmill that guarantees you are always running in place, never actually getting ahead.
This quote right here might be one of the most powerful truths in all of finance. Seriously. Compound interest is this incredible force that can either work for you, building a massive fortune over time, or it can work against you, burying you under a mountain of debt you can never escape. There is no middle ground. You're either earning it or you're paying it.
So, this is absolutely crucial to get. Not all debt is the same. It is not created equal. On one side, you've got productive debt, borrowing for things that can actually grow in value or make you money, like a smart mortgage or a business loan. But then, there's the other stuff, destructive debt. Think about credit card balances for a vacation. You're literally borrowing money for something that's gone the second you consume it, so you're left paying interest on a memory. This right here is one of the fastest ways to stay broke forever.
Okay, so we've gone through the problems, right? The traps, the blind spots. But just being aware of them is the first huge step. So now let's switch gears and talk about the path forward. How do you actually replace those wealth-destroying patterns with habits that build real, lasting wealth?
And look, the plan to fix this stuff, it's not rocket science. It's actually pretty simple. First up, you've got to flip the script. Start paying yourself first. Your savings, that's your number one bill every month, not what's left over. The easiest way to make this happen is to automate everything. Set it up so the money just moves into your savings the second you get paid, before you can even touch it. Next, for just 1 month, track every single penny. The clarity you'll get from that is a total game changer. And finally, you gotta go to war with that high-interest debt. Make a plan and attack it.
And please, remember this. The point of all this isn't to make yourself miserable. It's not about restriction or depriving yourself of everything you enjoy. That stuff never works long-term. The real goal here is to create sustainable change. New habits that build you a better future without making your present life a total drag. It's all about intention.
So at the end of the day, here's the deal. Your financial past, it doesn't get to decide your future. The roadmap from being broke to feeling secure isn't some big secret. It's just about swapping out these bad patterns for good ones, day after day. Your entire financial future is going to be built on the very next decision you make. So, the only question left is, what's it going to be?